Hi guys and girls, welcome to another episode of Kook Shed, a new YouTube channel designed to help surfers and bodyboarders with tips and techniques, beginners and experienced surfers and bodyboarders. It's just designed to help people get more out of their equipment and more time in the water, more fun, and isn't that what it's all about? So today we're going to talk about cutting down your steamer wetsuits, your old steamer wetsuits. I've brought a couple along and we're just going to get into the nitty-gritty of how to and why you would want to cut down your old steamer wetsuits. So here we go. Righto, so from time to time you're going to get an old wetsuit that is past its prime and isn't doing its job as a steamer should anymore. This happens, it's a normal process, even if you look after your steamers and rinse them in fresh water after each use and hang them in the shade to dry. Eventually, through continual use, they're going to not be as good as they used to. For instance, this one here, the seal has come off that seam. You can see the material is starting to lose its structure. Here the elbow is worn there, and yeah, just for various reasons, like the neck isn't sealing as good as it should. So instead of throwing the steamer out, for those of you that might not know, a steamer is a wetsuit with long arms and long legs. So instead of throwing it out into landfill, you can cut some limbs off so that the wetsuit will become another type of wetsuit that you might not have. Not many wetsuit manufacturers make a long arm, short leg wetsuit these days. There still is a couple out there, and if you can grab one, good on you. But I've found if I've got an old steamer and it's starting to not do its job in the chilly water that I need it to, I cut the legs down to make it a wetsuit that I can use in warmer water. Now a short leg, long arm wetsuit is a great versatile wetsuit because you can wear them when the water's not so chilly yet, but the cold air of the mornings or the strong offshore winds that come around autumn and spring, it's just designed to keep you warm up top in those conditions while your legs are free to move freely under the water, which is still quite mild. So I think they're a great versatile wetsuit that can be quite handy for a lot of the time of the year. So that's why I cut down my steamers to become a new, different type of wetsuit. So you can see here I've already cut this one down, but I'll just teach you a few things that I've learned that help. One thing I've learned, these are obviously the legs that I've cut off. One thing I've learned is don't cut the legs too short. Start longer than you might need and work your way back. But I've found over time that this is a good length for me. I'm quite lanky and I like a lot of legs still left on there. So I cut like right down, almost halfway through the knee pad, as you can see. Now I've got another one. I've got another wetsuit here, an older one that I've done. And you can see this one, I went a bit higher. I went a bit higher on the leg. So the crutches there, you can see the difference. So they're lined up there, and like there's a massive difference there. Now I found that this was too short, and over time out in the surf, this part would ride up and bunch up in the crutch, and it's not that comfortable for surfing. So I've been allowing a little bit more length, and it seems to work. The leg stays down, and it doesn't ride up so high. Because what you've done, most wetsuits have a cuff on the bottom, or they've got some sort of a manufacturer trick to keep the leg from riding up, the ankle from riding up the leg, whereas you've cut that part of the wetsuit off, so it no longer has a cuff or something to prevent it, like a cuff. Sometimes you see them sewed like that, or sometimes they'll have a bit of glue around the outside that keeps the sleeve tight. Because you've cut that off, you are going to have some riding. So I wouldn't cut it as short as this one. I'd cut the leg a bit longer, and if you find it's still too long, then bring it up a little. Another trick or another point that needs to be considered is you don't want to cut through any major connecting points of the wetsuit. Like here, you can see you've got panel there, and the knee. If you were to cut there, you might have some panels starting to separate, and there's a lot of thread coming out, that sort of thing. So try not to, like you're going to cut through some seams, but the less amount of seams that you're cutting through when you cut the wetsuit, the better, because you're going to have less potential fraying and things like that. So go a bit longer and try not to cut through any major connecting areas like that one there, that one there, that one there, and you should stay out of trouble there. Remember, this suit is designed for a bit warmer water, so and it's an old one, so it doesn't matter too much if you stuff it up, but those are some tips that I've found that help me. If you do get a bit of fraying from a seam or something, that one's got no stitching on it. Oh yeah, there it is, there's stitching there. So if you've got some fraying, let's see, a little cord there, little nylon cord, you can melt them with a lighter or a match, and that will stop that fraying a bit. You might get a little bit coming out, and over time you just trim it up. I had one when I first cut that used to always had a bit of a seam coming out, but over time, if you know where to cut and how to cut, you should be trouble free. So you can use scissors or whatever you got laying around the house. Make sure it's reasonably sharp, but I'll show you just on the leg roughly what to expect. Just take your time, and you can see it cuts quite easily like that. Now I would mark a line that the line that you want to cut first. I'd mark it with a bit of chalk or something that you can brush off or clean off later. You can see it's cut quite cleanly through there, no problems at all. Yeah, use a bit of chalk to mark the line that you want to cut, and then you can just brush it off or wash it off later, and it doesn't matter too much. That way, because this is it moves around, it's so flexible, it can be easy to lose your line that you're cutting along. So definitely, especially for the first time you cut your wetsuit, mark a line. Now another thing that you can try, you can't really see it here, but these legs are actually cut with a bit of an angle. So they're not cut totally straight. That is because, as I said before, the legs do rise up a little while you're in the surf because they don't have a cuff or a sealing mechanism, a sealing trick around the cuff. So I cut the inside of the leg a little bit longer and then taper it up just a touch. It seems to be just something to do with the way the wetsuit sits on the leg. So this is the length that you want, like this is the length when you're gauging how long to cut it. Cut there as the length you want, and then down a little bit longer for the inside of the leg. And that seems to help it not ride up so much. It allows the freedom of movement of the leg too. You can also do that with the sleeves as well. You might want to cut the arms off and make a spring suit, which is a short arm, short leg, but the torso is still covered. So following my rules that I said before, you wouldn't cut through there. You wouldn't cut straight through there because that's where, you've got one panel, two panel, three panels meeting, and yeah, that's just going to lead to trouble if you cut through there. So I would recommend cutting down here, somewhere there, and if it's too long, then making your way up with a higher cut. Now with your offcuts, wetsuits, people seem to go through a lot of wetsuits. One a year. It's quite common to see people go through one a year these days. Back in the day, people sort of bought their wetsuits to last a lot longer, and you know, they kept them for 2 or 3 years. But it seems to be quite common for people to buy a new wetsuit every year. So you're ending up with a lot of landfill, a lot of rubbish caused by these. And because they're neoprene, they don't break down too quickly in landfill. So what I do is I hang on to these. I hang on to the offcuts because the material is quite handy. You can use it for all sorts of things. I chuck all my offcuts in a bag and keep it because it's just handy material. It's got some water resistant properties. You can use it for all sorts of things. A bit of padding behind a panel that might be rattling in your car, or even you can use these as things to slip around your beer or your drink or a hot coffee while you're camping. Keeps your hands from burning on the hot coffee cup, or can insulate your can of beer, keep it cool. All sorts of things. It's a very versatile material, so I hang on to the offcuts, and that eliminates more landfill, I guess, which is better for our environment. Same as this, because we're recycling, we're keeping this wetsuit out of landfill and giving it a second purpose, second use. Like I said, because we cut it down, we're using it in milder water, so it's already not doing its job in the cold water as it used to, so we may as well see how it'll go in warm water. And yeah, they're great for just those intermediate periods between when it's really chilly and when it's really warm. These suits are really versatile. Keep you warm up top in the breeze up on top of the water, but allow that flexibility and freedom down below. Right, so there we go. That's how to cut down your old steamer wetsuit to repurpose it as a useful second wetsuit that you can use at other times of the year. If you find the legs or the arms, whichever ones you cut off, are still riding up your limb or climbing up, you may want to try creating a cuff, sewing a little cuff on the leg, but you'd have to do it by hand with nylon thread and a needle. Don't borrow your mum's sewing machine when she's out. Don't, or your partner's sewing machine or your grandma's or whatever, because you might damage it. They need to be a nice strong needle to go through this sort of material. So if you really do want to create a cuff, yeah, do it by hand and see how you go. Take your time. I'm not that good, so I just cut them straight off. Yeah, so if you've cut down your wetsuit or you've got other tips, yeah, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if this clip was helpful to you in any way. If you like the clip, hit like. You can subscribe, and so you can get more tips and techniques from Kook Shed. But yeah, hopefully that helped you out in some way. So until next time, my name's Cody. Thanks for dropping in. See you next time on the Kook Shed.